Attention bowlers, we're going to get started from Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Welcome to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. I'm Steve Kelly on the call. That's Andy Klempa in the blue shirt challenging Demetri Dellas. And it's going to be a great 5-string match today. Bowlers bowl 5 boxes at a time. And the away bowler, Andy Klempa, will start first. And he's starting out hot with a 7-drop on the head pin. And we'll see where this takes us. Welcome to Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. And Andy Klempa just gets by. Takes out one of the 3 required pins for a spare shot. Gives it a solid effort, but fortunately we can't score spares based on effort alone without results. And Andy Klempa will start out with an 8-box. Again, folks, I'm Steve Kelly on the call. I will be your host, narrator, and guide during this Class C North match between Andy Klempa and Demetri Dellas. Good as always to have you along with us. Originally live streamed on this Saturday, October 5th, a little before 3 o'clock at 2:54, and that's Andy Klempa with nearly a backdoor strike. He dropped 9 right off the bat, left only the head pin on the deck. Sort of that trademark Boutwells action on lanes 5 and 6. I don't know what it is about lanes 5 and 6 lately. Last night I was calling a match on lanes 5 and 6 at Academy, and here we are on lanes 5 and 6 at Boutwells. So Andy Klempa unfortunately missed the shot, missed the spare shot, missed the single pin spare shot. So now he's shooting for a 10-box. He's 1 for 2 on head pins, and Andy throws a little bit too fast. We'll take 17 after 2. That is confirmed. So folks, I would like to highlight a couple of things. First, this broadcast should have subtitles and live captioning enabled, so if you enjoy this feature, please feel free to enable it in the controls below. If you're watching this broadcast later on YouTube, the transcript feature will likely also be available. Keep an eye on the unofficial scoreboard on your screen. It's here for the benefit of the broadcast, where the bowlers maintain their official book records separately. Scores may be subject to review or correction, and that's Andy Klempa with a 7-drop. He threw it hard, but he missed the head pin, and he's got the 1, the 5, and the 3 to contend with. I may occasionally pause to verify scores if things seem out of sync. I appreciate your patience when that happens, and that's Andy Klempa who just missed the mark. And if you're watching this on YouTube later on, there may be times where I may include notes in the description if I catch scoring errors in post-production, so please be sure to check those out as well. Andy Klempa will be in the head pin and leave the 5 and the 3. Again, throwing a little bit too hard. That's my early analysis. He'll take 25 after 3. Mr. Klempa will, our away bowler. Again, I'll do my best to add chapters to the YouTube description when this is on YouTube later on Candlepin Bowling Network, so you can choose to jump to certain points in the games if that is your preference. If you're new to the ACST or Candlepin Bowling in general, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you and hope you enjoy this match. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Your continued viewership is greatly appreciated. And that's Andy Klempa, who drops 6. Just missing the mark on the head pin, leaving the 4 horsemen right side, the 1, 3, 6, 10. Andy Klempa fires, hits the head pin, but just kisses it off to the side. The rest of the horsemen are unharmed. Klempa now shooting for a 10-box on the 3, 6, and 10 at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Klempa fires, and he'll, I was about to say strike it out for some reason. He'll 10 it out for 35 after 4. Klempa so far struggling to find the head pin. He's 1 for 4. No splits yet, and he hasn't gotten any marks yet, so no data yet about anything on fills or fill averages, but we'll see where the day takes us. Andy Klempa fires, and he's off to the left of the head pin. He lemon drops on the left side. You owe Paul Grant a buck. The 4 pin was taken out. If you like this content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel for more exciting matches. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. And Andy Klempa was trying to spare up the lemon drop, and he leaves the 5 and the 10 on the deck. So it's going to be an 8, 9, or 10 box for Andy Klempa. Klempa winds up, he pitches, he gets another 10 box, so he'll finish markless for 45 after 5. That will conclude G1H1 for Andy Klempa. Only 1 head pin shot for that half, and no splits, but still 8, 9, 8, 10, 10 only puts him at 45 after 5. So we're going to find out how Demetri Dellas, our home bowler, responds. And we'll see where Demetri Dellas takes us. Demetri Dellas, new to the ACST this season in Class C North Division 2, and he's on the headpin with a split to start out. He has a seasonal record of 22-6 after 2 matches played. He bowled 1 match home and 1 match away. He was 10-4 in both matches. He has a season average of 110.9 with a home average of 115.4 and an away average of 106.4. And that was Demetri Dellas attempting to go for the 10, but not going for the 10, or not getting the 10. He has 9 after 1. Demetri Dellas, high single 139 this season, high single 139, high series 577. That's Demetri Dellas on the head pin, dropping all but the 5 and the 8 pins on the deck. Zoom in on that, shall we? For the season, Demetri has 5 strikes, 24 spares, and 33 tens. Perfect box percentage of 61%, and that's a spare for Demetri Dellas, the first spare of the match. In the second, he's at 19 and a ball after 2. Demetri Dellas had 1109 seasonal total pins up to this point, not counting this match. It's a little bit still too early in the season before I'm going to start talking about who's ahead of whom in the divisions and the overall standings. So stay tuned for later matches for more analysis on that. And that's Demetri Dellas filling that spare with 4. Bit of an ugly misfire crossing over past the head pin. Demetri Dellas trying for the remedial shot, and he takes a few more out, but he leaves the 1, the 4, and the 7 on the deck. I'm just looking up to confirm. We are in sync with the scoreboard, the CompuScore scoreboard at Boutwells. And Demetri will take an 8 box. That should put him at 31 after 3. That is confirmed. See some of the stats so far. Demetri is on the board in terms of the fills, averaging 4 per and totaling 4 per. Or 4 grand total. You know what I mean. Demetri Dellas is on the head pin. He drops 8. The 2 and the 4 are on the deck. Demetri Dellas versus the 2 and the 4 with a piece of wood in front of the 2 pin. Slightly diagonal too, but he plays it and he'll get a spare out of it. That's exactly how I would have played it. Demetri Dellas is at 41 and a ball after 4. Last match Demetri Dellas played was against Wynn Trafton, and it was a home game here at Boutwells. He took 12 points out of a possible 14 with a 577 series. He bowled a 111, a 94, a 111, a 139, and a 122 with 1 strike, 14 spares, and 20 tens. Demetri Dellas will fill his spare with 7, but he doesn't connect with the head pin. He's got the 1, the 2, and the 4 to shoot at. 48 after 4. Demetri Dellas throws the ball a little bit too hard, punches the head pin a little bit too full. He's left with the 2 and the 4 on the deck. Demetri's home lanes are here at Boutwells in Concord, New Hampshire. As he is the home bowler, he'll take a 10 box and finish at 58 for the half. That's where we'll sit. Demetri Dellas will, that is. Demetri Dellas went to Greece in September 24. He is Greek. I am quarter Greek, so definitely we'll have some conversations with Demetri with the 4 Greek phrases I know later on. Anyways, let's say hello to Andy Klempa once again. He's on the head pin. And he drops all but the 2 and the 10. That is a split, his first split of the match. Zoom in on that. So the 2 and the 10, there's a bunch of wood between the 2 and the 10 that Andy Klempa is shooting for. We'll see how Andy Klempa plays this. Play the 2 some way, and he'll take it. That's a spare for Andy Klempa. 55 and a ball. So Andy Klempa, last season, 2023-2024, he was in Class C North Division 2. This season, he's also in Class C North Division 2. He has a season record so far of 5-23. He started off a bit rocky. I was talking with Andy Klempa at Academy Lanes last night about his struggles, and he was saying, yep, he just wanted to have a good match, and sometimes that's all you want. Speaking of having a good something, that's a head pin shot and a 9 fill for Andy Klempa. Excuse me, not a split, just a head pin shot. Single pin spare, 5 pin. 5 pin leave on the deck on lane 6 at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Andy Klempa misfires just a little bit. When he released that ball, he dropped it a little bit early, and it was already on the right half of the lane, and it didn't cross over. It just kept going to the right. And that was the story for Andy Klempa. Klempa with 1 spare so far and only 1 spare, no strikes so far. He'll take a 9 box. Left a spare on on the table there. 73 after 7 for Andy Klempa. It's currently 3 head pins for 7. And that is where we're at right now. Klempa, first pitch of the 8th frame is off to the left of the head pin on the crossover. He drops 6. Is the 1, 3, 6, and 7 pins on the deck for Andy Klempa to contend with. We'll find out what Andy Klempa does with this. And he'll nearly get it. He'll pinball around, but he'll leave the 6. So Klempa will leave another spare on the table. This one was more difficult than the last one, though, which was a single pin spare. So Andy Klempa's season average is 90.3, his home average is 86.2, his away average is 94.4, with 1 match played between home and away. He's 2-12, both home and away. Andy Klempa will take a 9-box. Putting him at 82 after 8. Andy Klempa's seasonal high single so far is 110. His seasonal high series so far is 472, with 1 strike, 11 spares, and 18 tens. His perfect box percentage is 31. He has 903 seasonal total pins. The last match Andy bowled was against Joe De Almeida in round 2. That was an away game at Riverwalk Lanes. He took 2 points with a 472 series, and that's a headpin shot and a split 6 drop for Andy Klempa. The 7, the 4, the 6, and the 3 are on the deck. Against Joe Moose De Almeida, he took 2 points with a 472 series, and Klempa plays the wood on the right side of the split and kicks a piece of wood way out into the gutter, but leaves the 4 and the 7. Andy bowled an 83, a 90, a 95, a 110, and a 94 against Moose, with 1 strike, 7 spares, and 6 tens in his last match. Klempa is looking to clean up. He'll get a 9-box. That will put him at 67. 67 and 6. Andy Klempa is 4 for 6. Excuse me. It would help if I put that in the right spot. Pausing for... Yes, 91 in 9. Sorry, I'll back that up. 91 and 9 for Andy Klempa. It helps if I put the score under the right name. That is confirmed. 91 and 9. Andy Klempa throws a little bit too hard, and he's to the right of the head pin. Pin still falling, though. A generous mix of 7. The high-low jack, 1, 7, 10. The TV shot, the Channel 5 shot with wood. And just like in the house of Larry David, we have to respect the wood, and the wood has settled, so Andy Klempa can now fire for the spare shot on the high-low jack. There's wood between the 7 and between the 10. And he'll play it. The high-low jack is defeated by Andy Klempa. That's always a great shot to see someone actually make. And Andy Klempa will sit at 101 and a ball in the first game, passing the 100 threshold. And Klempa is doing much better than he did in his first game against Joe De Almeida, where he bowled an 83 by magnitudes at this point, by nearly 20. 18 to be exact. Andy Klempa's final first ball of the first game is half Worcester. And he will beat his first game against Joe De Almeida by 20 exactly for a 103 in the first game for Andy Klempa. He had 4 head pin shots and 2 splits in that game. And he had some struggles with the fill at the end, but he did cross the 100 threshold and exceeded his average thus far this season. So Andy Klempa doing great job right now, kind of making a course correction from his previous match. And let's say hello to Demetri Dellas, who's dropping a late falling 9 drop, leaving the 7 on the deck. Single pin spare shot for Demetri Dellas. And he'll take it for a spare. Single pin spare is made. 68 in a ball and 6 for Demetri Dellas. So Demetri has 3 spares for the day so far, and we're only in the first game. Demetri fires on the head pin, and he'll take a strike. He'll fill the spare with 10. He's on the head pin, buries the pocket, buries all 10 pins, sends them to next week with a strike, 88, and a fill and 7 for Demetri Dellas. And here's some stats for Demetri Dellas before, as we wait for the pin setter. Again, he's 22 and 6, starting out hot with a 110.9 average. And Demetri Dellas, he's filling a strike. He overthrew that ball just a little bit. He has 3 so far, not on the head pin. It's like a half Worcester plus DLC was what he shot at. 7 still left on the deck. And the second ball, oh my goodness. So that will be a 3 fill after all said and done. He kind of rushed it a little bit. He's at 91 and 7. And after taking a few more out, he'll surprisingly finish with a 5 box and coming down to earth a little bit. He's down at 96 and he's at 96 in 8. Not quite the continuation you really wanted there. That was kind of a bit of a momentum stuffer. But Demetri still has 1 strike on the board. Next ball is a bit of a misfire to the right. Wondered if that Phil got into his head a little bit, but he's got the 1, the 2, the 4, the 8, the 6, and the 10 on the deck. Demetri Dellas fires. He's on the head pin, kisses it on the right side, takes a few more pins out, leaves the 4 and the 8 on the deck. Dellas for the 10 box. He'll clean up for a 9. Take a 9 for 105 and 9. He will take the first game, though, so he still accomplished the mission. He got the 2 points in the first game. So, again, these are Demetri's stats so far. Check out that perfect box percentage, 61%. That is high. I know it's still early in the season, but still, that is impressive. That is A-class numbers. So Demetri's on the head pin. He drops 7. That is the 2, the 5, and the 8 pins on the deck. Demetri significantly higher head pin percentage than Andy Klempa this game, and he'll take a spare. Oops, that is not a spare. This is a spare. He's at 115 in the ball. Demetri Dellas really pulling ahead in terms of the fills, totaling 24 and averaging 4.8. Final first ball of the first game will be a 6 drop for Demetri Dellas. I'll put him at 121. After all is said and done here at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire, you are watching the ACST. I'm Steve Kelly, and I thank you for sticking it out with me and watching these matches. Always appreciate it. And anyways, we are just going to very quickly transition to the second game here. One moment. Thank you. So yes, if you're just tuning in, this is the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, a season-long series of one-on-one Candlepin bowling matches between challengers organized into classes and divisions, competing for playoff contention. And Andy Klempa is on the head pin with a split, leaving the 7-10-4-6-3 on the deck with no wood really of much use, aside from a piece of wood across the 4 and the 7. I wouldn't play it, though. Andy Klempa hits a little full on the 3 and the 6. No spare. Andy Klempa for a 10 box. He's going to play the left side. He'll take a 9. 9 after 1 for Klempa. Say hello to Andy Klempa here. He's currently 5-23. Again, like I said, I was talking with him. He started out a bit rocky, so he's just working to fix that. He had a much better first game than he did against his last round against Joe Moose de Almeida. Currently averaging 90.3 with a seasonal high 1 of 110, a high 5 of 472. And he has 903 seasonal total pins. And Klempa fires. He's on the head pin, a fast-dropping 7. That's the 4, the 5, and the 3 on the deck. 4, 5, and 3 triangle right side for Andy Klempa. Andy Klempa fires, and he beans the 5 pin into next week. He leaves the 3 and the 6 on the deck. Klempa for an 8, 9, or 10 box with an 8 box minimum. The pitch. We'll take a 10. 19 after 2 for Klempa. So Andy Klempa, for the 2024 and 2025 season, his home house is Cape Ann Lanes in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Last year, his home lanes were Academy Lanes in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Andy Klempa is from Andover, Massachusetts, living in Quincy at the moment. He's a certified pharmacy technician at Brigham and Women's Hospital. He studied environmental chemistry at Plymouth State University, class of 2017. That's a 7 drop for Andy Klempa. The 1, the 4, and the 7 are on the deck. 4 horsemen minus the 2 pin, specifically. Klempa is off target, beans the 7, leaves the 4 and the 1. Andy Klempa enjoys going to lots of concerts, shows, Disney, traveling. He's gone to Vegas multiple times. From what I think I heard yesterday, he's going back very soon, actually. He's into wrestling, and he's going to be taking a 9 box. Kinda. Yeah, it's a traveling league. Had someone interested in what was going on over here. So Andy Klempa is currently at 28 after 3. And he is going to be throwing the first pitch of the 4th frame here. And he's off to the left of the head pin. Pin's still falling, though. Pin's still falling, though. He got a really nice mix out of that, leaving the 1 and the 3 pins on the deck. 1 and the 3 pins on the deck for a spare leave for Andy Klempa at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. If you're in the area, come check it out. And Klempa gets by. He leaves the 1 and the 3 on the deck. Boutwells Bowling Center used to be owned by Dan Murphy. Now it's owned by the Dellas family. Demetri Dellas, Alex Dellas' son, I believe, if I'm not getting that mixed up in my head. And there's also Dino Dellas in Class A. That's an 8-box for Andy Klempa. 36 after 4, that is confirmed. I didn't run into, but I later found out that Andy Klempa and I were at the same concert recently down in Mansfield, Massachusetts at the Xfinity Center. It was the Avril Lavigne and Simple Plan concert with opener band of Girlfriends. It was a pretty good show. One of those summer shows where kind of artists from the 2000s kind of come around. Anyways, that's a 8 drop for Andy Klempa, leaving the 9, the 10, and the 9 stays after he plays it, believe it or not. And that is a split because the 6 pin is between the 9 and the 10 pins. Fun fact. Official book split definitions. That's a 9-box for Andy Klempa. That's 45 at the half for Andy Klempa. Very similar story to the first game. Actually, I think it was the exact same half even. Just slightly different numbers, but 45 after 5 for Andy Klempa. That's where we are. You finished the first game with 103, so you can get to 103 with a 45 half, so we'll see where he ends up with that, but we'll say hello to Demetri Dellas once again at Boutwells Bowling Center on lane 5, and he beans the 1 and the 5 for a spread eagle, the traditional academic and the most difficult spread eagle, the 2-pin spread eagle. There's also a 4-pin spread eagle if you can take the 8 and the 9 along with the 1 and the 5. Demetri will throw a ball hard towards the left side of the roadkill, and he'll just abuse the bird a little bit more. It's the 7-8-9-3-6 that he's shooting at. He'll play the 3-6 pocket. He'll move the 9 pin, but he'll take a 7 box, if you can believe that. 7 box he definitely went to war for. Demetri Dellas currently 1 strike, 4 spares. He's totaled 30 bonus pins and fills, averaging 6 pins per mark. Demetri Dellas fires the left of the head pin, dropping 6, and that is the 1-3-6-8 on the deck. Demetri Dellas, the 1-3 pocket. You got to hit this lightly if you can help it, or connect with the head pin to the left, but he takes everything but the 6. The 6 pin just was unlucky in that exchange. It's going to be a 9 or 10 box for Demetri Dellas. He'll miss that to the right for a 9 box. That puts him at 16 after 2. And I appreciate you watching the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour on Facebook or YouTube, wherever it is you're watching. We're having a fantastic time at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire, watching Andy Klempa challenge Demetri Dellas here on the tour, and that's a strike by Demetri Dellas. Speaking of exciting action, that was a hammer, a very fast hammer strike. 26 and a fill after 3 for Demetri Dellas. He's on the board with marks. We'll see if he can keep that train going. Lane 5, Demetri Dellas on a strike. Working on a strike on the 1-2 pocket, but a little bit too full. He drops 5 with a split on the head pin. Spread eagle minus the 2, the 4-6, 3-7, 10. Demetri Dellas on lane 5 on the 3-6 pocket. He'll connect with the 3-6, 10, leaving the 4 and the 7. 8, 9, or 10 box for Demetri Dellas, and he'll take it for a 10. That was an 8 fill on the strike and a 10 box for 44 after 4 for Demetri Dellas. That is confirmed. We are in sync. We're not Backstreet Boys, we're in sync. So stay with us for all the action as Andy Klempa and Demetri Dellas battle it out on the lanes of this ACST match, and that's another strike for Demetri Dellas. 2 fast strikes. He's at 54 and a fill after 5. 2-strike half. Putting the pressure on away bowler Andy Klempa. Demetri Dellas is showing Andy how you bowl at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. So Andy Klempa, meanwhile, he's starting on lane 6. Andy Klempa throws a left-handed hard ball. He throws it right at the center. And he'll drop 8. the 5 and the 8 are on the deck with no wood to help them. Klempa, the pitch. Ball bounces, and I saw the minute he released it, I knew there was going to be trouble there. It was the bounce and the release, and I think he dropped it before the foul line. All these small factors that can misdirect a ball. Klempa fires, and that was the shot. He missed the second and get the third. Yada, yada, yada. That's a 10-box for Andy Klempa, 65 after 6. Andy Klempa, no strikes, 2 spares. He's only taken in 11 in fills. Compare that to Demetri Dellas, who's really starting to pull ahead on the fill total in particular of 38. Andy Klempa. Lefty from Cape Ann Lanes in Gloucester, Massachusetts. He's off to the right of the head pin. He takes some pins out. Specifically, he's got the 1, the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 10 to contend with for a spare shot. Klempa fires. Misfire. Takes out the 4 and the 4 only. The 1, the 2, the 5, and the 10 are left on the deck. No mark. Playing for a 6-box or higher. Klempa fires, and he's just off to the right. He'll take a 6-box. An unfortunate 6 for Klempa. He's markless, 61 and 7 so far. That is confirmed. Hope this broadcast finds you well. Here's your score update. We're currently 164 for Andy Klempa on the total. Demetri Dellas is at 175 in the total. Andy Klempa is 2 boxes ahead of Demetri Dellas, but you can see how far ahead Demetri Dellas has pulled ahead at this point. Andy Klempa drops 6. He's not on the head pin. The 1, 2, 4, and 7 left side 4 horsemen are what he's shooting at. Some wood behind the 1 and the 2. Not really helpful. He plays the 1. It comes around to take the 7. The 2 and the 4 are still on the deck. No mark for Andy Klempa. Andy Klempa for an 8, 9, or 10 box. He misfires there. He'll take an 8 box for 69 in 8. That is where we stand at the moment. So today we're at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. There's 24 lanes. There's 12 on each side of the house. All wood approaches. All wood lanes. Manual scoring by the oldie but goodie CompuScore. You may know Dan Murphy from the WNDS Stars and Strikes days. He used to own this place before he passed away. Andy Klempa missed the headpin but dropped 6 generously. 1, 2, 3, and 10 are on the deck. So he's shooting for a spare now, Andy Klempa is. 1, 2, 3, 10. Klempa is right on it, and the wood will finish the job. Much deserved, much needed spare for Andy Klempa, who has 79 and a fill in the 9th. With a fill and a box to go, Andy Klempa's got a lot of work to do. He could really use a strike. A big 20 here would be great. Room for 3. Let's see you do it. Klempa fires, and oh my goodness, that ball was a bit of a misfire, but he might get a decent mix. Pins are still falling. The 1, the 5, the 3, the 6, and the 8 are on the deck. That appears to be a 5 fill. 1, 5, 3, 6, 8. Klempa fires. He's on the head pin, and he's all over it, and he takes the spare. He needed that. That'll put him at 94 and a fill. Andy Klempa might just be salvaging this match yet. At least in terms of a personal average. I am a little bit less optimistic, considering Demetri's 54 and a fill half so far. My apologies for the occasionally shaking Zoom cam. I put the Zoom cam on a different tripod today because it was much easier to set up, and I should have done it that way a long time ago, but oh goodness, Andy Klempa will fill that spare with a misfire on the 10 pin of a 1. He's going to have a 95 game. 2 mark 95. That's gotta hurt a little bit for Andy. So he's at 103 and 95 for a 2-game total of 198. Demetri Dellas so far at 175 and counting, and he still has 5 boxes to go in this game. He's got a 2 mark half of 54, and he's not done yet. That 54 is still up in the air based on these next 2 balls. Demetri Dellas. On the head pin, he drops 4, spread eagle. Throws that ball a little bit too hard, got a little bit overexcited. The 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 are on the deck. No wood at all. Demetri Dellas, ooh, I thought the ball was going to sail into the middle. It just kissed a pin. Takes out the right half for a 7 fill on that strike. That puts him at 61 and 5. He's looking to 10 this up. 2, 4, 7. He'll take that 2, 4, 7 to the bank for 71 in 6. Demetri Dellas. 3 strikes, 4 spares, 45 and fills, averaging 6.4 per mark. Dellas on the head pin, and he drops 7. The left back corner triangle, the 7-8-4 are what he's shooting at. 7-8-4 for Demetri Dellas. And he fires on the wood, and he's all over it for a spare. That's his 3rd mark of the game for 81 and a ball in 7. So again, to finish that thought, yes, so we're at Boutwells Bowling Center. If you're in the Concord area or Concord adjacent, check it out. It's about a 35 to 40-minute drive from Nashua if the traffic is all clear. I can tell you because that was the drive I did today. Demetri Dellas will fill that spare with 8. He's not on the head pin, but he got a generous mix out of it. The 1 and the 10 pins are on the deck, and that's what he's shooting at. And Demetri Dellas is on the head pin, but a little bit too full, and the wood doesn't kick over to the 10. So no mark for Demetri Dellas. No double spare. Demetri fires, and it's in the gutter. It's going to be a fouled 9 box. I am 99.9% certain that should put him at 98 in 8, and that is confirmed. Hooray for CompuScore. Like I said, an oldie but a goodie. Well, we have a quick moment. Here's Class C North. There's 4 folks in 4 divisions, and today we are in Division 2. Andy Klempa and Demetri Dellas. The early matches of the season are usually divisionals, so you start and end the season in your own division. Demetri Dellas dropped 5, 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, and he misses the head pin. He's left with the 1, 7, 10 with the 10 pin falling late. Pins are still mixing. He's left with the 1 and the 7, no mark. 8, 9, or 10 box for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas, 8, 9, or 10 box, and he'll miss the head pin. He'll take an 8 box. For 106 and 9, that's where we're at. Demetri Dellas is 12 for 19 on the head pin. That is a great ratio. 4 of those 12 head pin shots have been splits. Fortune has favored Demetri Dellas. And that's an 8 drop on the head pin. 4-7. Spare leave. Straightforward shot. Just play it directly on the 4-7 pocket. Not much else to it. Demetri Dellas, the pitch. A little bit too much of a crossover. He'll take the 7 and leave the 4. Dellas fires on the 4 pin for a 10 box, and he'll take a 9 for 115 in 10. That is where Demetri Dellas will be victorious in the 2nd game over Andy Klempa. Currently, Demetri Dellas is batting 1,000 in terms of points. He's got 4 so far to Andy Klempa's none. Up in the game by 20, 115 to Andy Klempa's 95. And in the total, Demetri Dellas has a 2-game total of 236. Andy Klempa has a 2-game total of 198. We're going to move on to the 3rd game now. That's Andy Klempa down there. I'm Steve Kelly up here on the mic. Appreciate having you along with us on this Atlantic Candlepin Single Store Saturday afternoon action at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Great to have you along with us. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to strike, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more exciting ACST matches. The ACST, your source for amazing Candlepin matches, fast and furious, for most of the year as the season extends from usually kind of August-ish all the way up to even May or so, possibly June, depending on how far we go. Andy Klempa misses the mark. It was a difficult split, admittedly. Andy will sail the ball straight down the center for a 9 box, leaving the 10 pin on the deck. In case you missed it, I know we were on that slide quickly before. We're Division 2. It's Andy Klempa and Demetri Dellas. Also in Division 2 is Win Trafton and Joe Moose de Almeida. That is the Class C North Division picture for you. And Andy Klempa is on the head pin, and he'll drop all but the 5 and the 9. So it's a 5-9 spare leave. There is some wood. I would just avoid the wood on the right. That's further out. Klempa fires. He might kiss it, but he doesn't. It was very close, but he'll take a spare. 19 and a ball after 2 for Andy Klempa. Andy Klempa is currently totaling 17 in bonus pins based on marks and fills. He's averaging 3.4 per mark. 10 headpin shots and 5 splits. 10 for 22, and Andy Klempa will connect with a headpin but split it up for 5. Spread eagle minus the 2 pin. No wood to help him. 3, 6, 4, 7, 10. Klempa sails through the void. Hit the invisible 1-2 pocket he hit in the previous ball. Klempa is shooting for a remedial ball, 5 box or higher, and what a shot. That was a great pin action shot for Andy Klempa. Wish it was the second, but it was the third. He missed the second and got the third, and yada, yada, yada. 34 after 3 for Andy Klempa. 11 for 23 headpin shots. That's how well Andy Klempa is doing today on the first ball. And that's another headpin shot, but another split. Hits a little bit too full. It's another variation of the spread eagle. It's the 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 10 pins on the deck. Klempa. Spare ball. It goes down the center. My opinion is he's throwing it way too hard. It's like that ball is great when it connects, but it's hitting a little bit too full, and Boutwells doesn't often favor fast balls. I know the idea is to kind of be more like Cape Ann, where it's a little bit of a faster house, but it's kind of biting Andy Klempa a little bit. That's a 7 box for Andy Klempa, 41 after 4. That is confirmed. 12 for 24 on headpins, 7 for 24 on splits. Andy Klempa is, or 7 out of 12, technically. Splits are contingent on the headpin being down, and 99% of the time, the headpin has to be down for a split. We count headpins if the ball connects with the headpin. You can have a situation where you don't have a headpin shot and have a split, where if there was backdoor action. That's a 6 drop for Andy Klempa. That's a banana split. Who's hungry? 4, 6, 7, 10. Not sure why it's called a banana split, to be honest. Andy Klempa will play the wood, and the wood will deflect the ball, and the wood will sail into the gutter and not take anything out. Incredible. So Andy Klempa, once again, is shooting for a 6 box or higher. Really gnarly first half, but it's actually his best first half so far. He has a 47 half. First 2 games, he had a 45 half. Perfect on the headpin this game. 5 for 5 and 4 for 5 on splits, though. So some of that, I have to admit, might have been a little bit of a luck factor there. But anyways, we'll say hello to Demetri Dellas once again on lane 5 at Boutwells Bowling Center. And is it going to be another strike? It looked good for a second. He was on the headpin dropping 8, the 4, and the 10 are on the deck. No wood, straightforward shot. Dellas fires, and he's a little bit off. Again, that a bit too much of a movement, a little bit too much movement on the ball. He had this problem in the last game too. He'll take a 9 box because he was shooting at the 4 and 7 in the last game, and he shot the 7 and left the 4. And here he shot the 10 and left the 6. Dellas, 3 strikes, 5 spares for the day. Compare that to Klempa's 0 strikes, 5 spares. And Demetri Dellas is a little bit off target on this first ball. Pins in the back corner are gone. That's about it. Back left corner. Demetri Dellas will not connect with the headpin on the second ball either. He's left with the 1 and the 3. 8, 9, or 10 box for Demetri Dellas. And he'll take 1 more out. He'll take a 9 box. 2 9s in a row. That's 18 after 2 for Demetri Dellas. And if you're new to the ACST, here's the general idea in the general match format. It's a 5-string match. Each bowler bowls 5 boxes or frames at a time per bowler. I'll show you that slide in a little bit, like once again. And Demetri Dellas is on the headpin, dropping 8, 4, 7. It's another one of those shots where he had difficulty taking this out on lane 6 in the previous game, so we'll see where things go. And Demetri just misses the 4 pin to the right. So shooting for an 8, 9, or 10 box. This might be a miss the second, get the third situation. And it isn't. He misses again, same spot. 8 box, 26 after 3. Anyway, so yes, so in these matches, bowlers bowl for up to 14 points per match, and you get a win-loss ratio that goes all the way through 18 matches in the regular season. 2 points earned for each string won, 4 points earned for greater total pinfall. There are classes A through F. That's how they're sorted out. There's also a north and south half of the league. It's an 18-match season. Think like the NFL. There's a 6-drop for Demetri Dellas, by the way, leaving the 4 horseman right side, the 1-3-6-10, and he hit the 3 and only the 3. There's also wild cards for the playoffs. There are playoffs. It works just very similar to the NFL. So if you have an idea of how divisionals in the NFL work or playoffs, that's effectively how it works. That's 34 after 4 for Demetri Dellas. Having some trouble on the follow-up ball specifically. The first balls are fairly good. It's just the second balls that are not. Demetri Dellas on the head pin. Might be slightly too full for a strike, but it'll take a 7 drop. That's the 3-6-10 on the deck. 3-6-10. Dellas. The spare pitch. A little bit too full on the 3, leaving the 6 and the 10. Dellas fires, and he'll take an 8 box. He left another spare and a 10 box on the table. 9-9, 8-8, 42 after 5 for Demetri Dellas. That is confirmed. So Andy Klempa is actually ahead of Demetri in this game. 47 after 5 for Andy Klempa and 42 after 5 for Demetri Dellas. This is the ACST. I'm Steve Kelly back here, and that's Andy Klempa down there in the blue shirt with a fast-dropping 9 drop. On the head pin. And that's all but the 4 pin on the deck. Spare leave, plenty of wood around it. He's shooting for the spare, and he'll get it. That's a spare for Andy Klempa. 57 and a ball is where Andy Klempa is at. Andy Klempa has yet to get a strike this match. He's gotten close, like in this first ball, this past frame, but he's been just the spare machine today. For the most part. Klempa, bouncy ball on the fill, and oof, that's going to be a 2 fill. Bit of an overthrow and a bouncy release. So that puts him at 59 and 6. Klempa on lane 6 for remedial second ball. He fires, and he's just slightly to the right of the head pin. The 1, the 2, and the 9 are on the deck for a 10 box. No spare for Andy Klempa. And Klempa will finish with a 9. In that box, that is. He's at 68 after 7. But Klempa has been, except for that box, he was perfect on the head pin until that 9 box. Fun facts provided by the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store, and that's another head pin shot for Andy Klempa at the 7 drop on the 5, the 8, and the 9 pins. It's the middle triangle in the back row. Klempa fires, and he's on it. He defeats the triangle. That's a spare for Klempa, 78 and a ball after 8. Is where we currently stand. Andy Klempa is at 24 total bonus pins for fills on marks, averaging 3.4 per fill. Really needs to get that average up a little bit to catch up with Demetri Dellas. There we go. I almost said Dino Dellas. And Klempa, 9 fill on the spare. Great head pin shot, dropping all but the 5 pin. 87 and a ball after 8. And then we'll see if he can get the follow-up spare. This should be a layup. It's a 5 pin and a perpendicular piece of wood right in front of it. Can't get much more straightforward than that. Klempa fires. It looks good, and it is good. That's his 4th mark of the game. 97 and a ball and 9. Andy Klempa is fired up. He wants to get that W. I can tell it. I can tell that he does, especially after that last game. So Andy Klempa, 4 mark, 97 in the 9th, plus a fill. Hopefully he just can't gack this fill. That's the only thing. Klempa on lane 6. And, well, he was to the right of the head pin, but he got a decent fill of 5 out of it. It could have been a whole lot worse. The diamond in the center plus a 7 pin. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 is what he's shooting at. Klempa fires, and he's on it, and it goes. That was a beautiful shot by Andy Klempa. Defeats the diamond and takes the 7 for the road. 5 mark, 112 for Andy Klempa. And Klempa's final first ball of the third game is coming right up here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Klempa's final pitch is a 6. It's a 6 drop. He was off to the right of the headpin again. That's 118. That's where he'll finish. 118 for Klempa for a 3-game total of 316. If that second game was just a little bit better, that would have been a real great triple for Andy Klempa, given his average. So Demetri Dellas currently a little bit down on his luck with a 42.5 at the moment, but we'll see where things go for Demetri Dellas here, our defending home bowler against Andy Klempa. And Demetri Dellas will take a 6 drop. He's off to the left of the head pin. The 1, 3, 6, 7 are on the deck. Dellas on lane 6 for the spare on the 1-3 pocket, and he'll take the spare. That was as good as you could hope for that ball to be. 52 and a ball for Mr. Demetri Dellas. And Andy Klempa, in case you missed it, finished with a 118. Demetri Dellas is off to the right of the headpin, but he got a real lucky mix on that one. 8 drop. 1 and the 9 on the deck for a spare bid, spare leave. Demetri Dellas. And, he held onto that ball a little bit too long, or thought about it too long. He missed the headpin to the left. And he'll miss the headpin again. He'll take a 9 box, 69 and 7 for Demetri Dellas. Dinosopo, Greek for what can I tell you? Little Greek lesson there. I am part Greek, and Demetri Dellas is also Greek. That's an 8 drop for Demetri Dellas. That's a split on the head pin, the 7 and the 8 pin on the deck. And he'll fire, and the piece of wood will deflect the ball away from the 7 pin, so no mark for Demetri. He'll take the 8 out, but leave the 7. Dellas fires, and he'll take the 10 box for 79 in 8. Demetri Dellas currently totaling 61 and fills, averaging 6.8 per fill. It's a pretty good average, if you ask me. That's where Andy Klempa has been falling down a little bit, averaging 4.9 per. Demetri Dellas on the head pin on the 1-3 pocket, and he takes 8 out again. That is a 2-5 shot. And Dellas, the ball crosses over a little bit too much towards the end. The 2 and the 5 on the deck, and Dellas will take it out for a 10 box. He'll miss the second and get the third. 89 and 9 for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas with 3 strikes and 6 spares for the match. 18 out of 29 head pin shots for the day. 5 of those head pin shots have been splits. Demetri Dellas fires on the head pin and a split. Spread eagle, 4-pin spread eagle. The 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 are on the deck. The traditional academic and effectively the most common spread eagle shot. Dellas will take out the right half and leave the 2, the 4, and the 7 on the deck. Dellas for the 7, 8, 9, or 10 box, and he'll take a 10. This is his third 10 in a row. He'll finish with a 99. Given what he's bowled today, that's a bit of a low game. 3-game total of 335 for Demetri Dellas, and Andy Klempa will take the second game, 118 to Demetri's 99. So Andy Klempa is on the board in terms of points, but he still has a long way to go. We're going to be going to the 4th game of 5 here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. And we're going to see Andy Klempa start things out on lane 5 for the 4th game opener. First ball. He fires. He's on to the left of the head pin. Pins are still falling, and he drops 7. The 1, the 6, and the 10 are on the deck. One, 6, 10 for Andy Klempa. Klempa fires on the head pin, and he dances around to take the spare. He's at 10 and a ball after 1. Great shot. Great sidewall action here at Boutwells Bowling Center for the spare for Andy Klempa. Andy Klempa is now filling a spare. Currently perfect in this game 4. The first frame. Completing the first frame, he's to the left of the head pin. It's going to be a 4-fill by the looks of it. The pins are still wiggling, but it looks like it's settled. 14 after 1 for Andy Klempa. Again, that fill average he's been struggling with today. And that was about on point for what he's been doing today. And Andy Klempa's second shot will phase the head pin through the other pins and take the 9 pin out with it, but leave the 4, 6, 3, and 10. So no mark in the second frame for Andy Klempa. So he's shooting for a 6 box or higher, and he'll take that 6 box, unfortunately. The ball will whiff to the left on the crossover. 20 after 2 for Andy Klempa. Klempa currently 16 for 32 on the head pin today. That's exactly 50%. Demetri Dellas currently 19 for 30 on the head pin with a 63% head pin shot percentage, and that's a real interesting stat right there. That's pretty good. And Andy Klempa to the right of the head pin this time. He drops the right half of the deck, leaving that left half. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. No wood on the deck to speak of. Klempa, he fired down the center, but the ball curved to the right with a bit of a tail. So no mark for Andy Klempa, unfortunately. Klempa fires on the head pin, and he'll take a few more out for an 8 box. That's where we will sit at 28 after 3. For Andy Klempa, there is a piece of wood that just needs clearing. So again, we'll finish my thought about the ACST match format again. It's an 18-match season. The matches are very frequently bowled out of order, as that is allowed, because that's just the way scheduling works. All ACST matches, there's actually a lot of paperwork that goes on behind the scenes when bowlers schedule matches. You have to make sure the center is available. They have available lanes for you. You have to make sure both bowlers can bowl at that date and time and all that stuff. So that's why things are often bowled out of order. If you see round numbers that are seemingly random, that is effectively why. So that is the story of the ACST match format. And oh, hey, yeah, in case you don't know how to read my scoreboard, here's one part of it. The little thing in the upper left corner, the gray area represents leads and what game we're on. The left side is points, match total, and game total. The center represents the bowler's initials, just for space-saving purposes. That's a head pin shot and a split for Andy Klempa, a banana split, the 7-10-4-6. 7-10-4-6 for Andy Klempa. There's wood along the 4-7. I would play that side, and that's what Andy Klempa decides to do, but his ball sails in the gutter, and that's a -2. As the ball went into the gutter and took out 2 and left 2. That's -2 on whatever this ends up being. He's got the goal post, the 4 and the 6. It's going to be a 6 box or higher. 6 to 8 box specifically, and that's going to be a 6 box. Should be 34 after 4 for Andy Klempa. 34 after 4 with that 6 box in the 4th. Andy Klempa still hunting for a strike. He's got 10 spares, though. He's the king of the spares. 17 head pin shots and 9 splits. Klempa is thinking long and hard about this next shot. He's on the head pin. Drops 8, 6 in the 10 are on the deck. Six and the 10 are on the deck for Andy Klempa. We'll see if he can convert this. And he'll play the 6, leaving the 10. No mark for Andy Klempa. The piece of wood may be out of play. I'm not entirely sure. It might be okay. Zoom in on that real quick. Actually, I think that is still in play. 9 or 10 box, Andy Klempa. It'll be a 9 for 43 after 5. And then also, actually, before we do that, we're at the half. Andy Klempa's at 43 after 5. He's been averaging kind of like 45, 46 for the half, but this has kind of been uncharacteristically low, but not that much low compared to the previous games. And he did take the last game, so We'll see where things go. Let's see. Hi to Demetri Dellas. He's on the head pin, and he nearly gets a strike. He drops 9. The four pin is the only pin on the deck. Is Demetri Dellas on the 4 pin. He's just off to the right of it. No mark for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas tries to play the 4 pin for a 10 box, and he misses it twice. It's a 9 box for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas currently 20 for 31 on the head pin. 6 out of those 20 head pin shots have been splits. 65% head pin percentage so far. That is great. Demetri Dellas to the left of the head pin. He lemon drops the 4 pin and the 4 pin only. Not quite the shot he was looking for. So remedial second ball. Got to take 9 for a spare. He'll take a few more out, leaving the 3, the 6, and the 7. No mark for Demetri Dellas. Three, 6, and 7. And he'll play the 3 and the 6, leaving the 7. That's a 9 box for Demetri Dellas. 18 after 2 for Demetri Dellas. Also, this is a bit late, but in case you need to know how to read the scoreboard and you're a bit confused, I have some new indicators on the left and the right of the player towers. I guess that's what I'm calling them. And they will the green on the left will indicate a head pin shot, and the red on the right will indicate a split. They will be lit when those apply. Otherwise, there'll just be nothing there. And Demetri Dellas with a rough first ball, just kind of Swiss cheese down there. The second ball sails through the void. He's looking at a 4 box or higher. 6 pins are on the deck. He'll play the pocket. Pins are still mixing. It looks like it's going to be an 8 box for Demetri Dellas after all has been said and done. 26 after 3 for Demetri Dellas. So yes, you'll see the head pin and split indicators when they're lit will show up there. And of course the symbols for double strikes, spare, and 10, as per usual Candlepin lingo. That's Demetri Dellas on to the right of the head pin. He's taken out a few pins, but suddenly that head pin percentage has been a bit of a challenge for Demetri Dellas now. Second ball, though, he takes everything out. That's a remedial spare for Demetri Dellas. So second ball, he made a course correction for 36 and a ball after 4. That is confirmed. We're watching the Atlantic Campbell Singles Tour. I'm Steve Kelly back here. That's Demetri Dellas down there on lane 5 in the dark red shirt, kind of maroonish. That's a 7-pin fill. He's not on the head pin, but he got a generous mix. That seems to be the theme of the day. 1, 2, 10 on the deck for Demetri Dellas. And he'll play the 2-pin a little bit too full. The wood didn't help him. He's left with a 1 and the 10 on the deck. And he'll take an 8 box. 51 after 5 for Mr. Demetri Dellas. Compare that to Andy Klempa's 43 after 5. 3.5 game total of 359 for Andy Klempa. 3.5 game total of 386 for Demetri Dellas. The total is in favor of Demetri Dellas by 27 right now, and in the game by 8. All favors on Demetri Dellas' side right now. Andy Klempa on lane 6. He's to the left of the head pin. 1, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10 are what he's shooting at. Folks, everyone involved here from the bowlers to the staff you cannot see, all appreciate your viewership and interest in the world of Candlepin bowling. Again, we're at Boutwells Bowling Center at 152 North State Street in Concord, New Hampshire today. There's 24 lanes, 12 on each side. Boutwells uses manual scoring and manual lane resetting, with CompuScore being the scoring software used. Boutwells was formerly owned by former WNDS Candlepin Stars and Strikes co-host Dan Murphy, who passed away in 2022, and Andy Klempa will take a 9 box, 52 after 6. 9 box he rather went to war for there. Dan Murphy also did a bunch of other things for the Candlepin community. Not only did he run the ICBA at the time, but he was also the developer and chief instructor of the ICBA Candlepin Instructors School, a project he took great pride in. He was a 2-time inductee into the Candlepin Hall of Fame, once for competitive ability and once for the ICBA President's Cup. And that's Andy Klempa down there. Ball is a little bit fast to the right of the head pin off target. 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6 is what he's shooting at for a spare shot. I'm going to zoom in on this because it just kind of looks interesting to me. I just think it's neat. And Andy Klempa will play the kind of generally the right idea, but the mix was just kind of off. He's left with the 6 and the 10. Klempa trying to clean up. He'll take a 9 box. I said a 9 box. There we go. 61 in 7 for Andy Klempa. Andy Klempa still hunting for a strike. He's got 10 spares. Headpin percentage is improving. 18 for 37, 49%. With Demetri Dellas suddenly missing the headpin a little bit more, it's starting to even out a little bit. That's a headpin shot for Andy Klempa right there, though. It's a 6-drop right side diamond. 5-6-3-9. And Klempa fires. And the piece of wood to the left of the object pin defeats his attempt to thwart the diamond. And the diamond wins again. The 5 and the 6 are on the deck for a 10-box opportunity. 8-box minimum for Andy Klempa. Our away bowler from Cape Ann Lanes in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And he'll take one more out for the road for another 9-box. His 4th 9-box in a row for 70 in 8 for Andy Klempa. Andy Klempa totaling 48 in fills on marks, averaging 4.8 per mark. Compare that to Demetri Dellas' 68 fill total, averaging 6.8 per mark. And Andy Klempa on the head pin, and he almost gets a strike, but the 6-pin stays on the deck. Single pin spare shot for Andy Klempa. So he's a lefty, so he has to cross over to the right. Hopefully he won't bounce the ball. I know that's been a bit of a mistake he's been making a couple times today. Doesn't bounce it, but just doesn't cross over enough. No mark for Andy Klempa. Six-pin, single-pin, 10-box opportunity for Andy Klempa with a 9-box minimum. He fires. Held onto that ball a little bit too long. Similar story to the second ball. That's his fifth 9-box in a row, 79 and 9. Andy Klempa having a bit of a down game here. But that also happened in the last game, and he came back with a bunch of marks. So, I don't know, maybe he can get a triple strike. That would be great. Still fishing for a strike. Let's see if he can get it. Let's find out together. Andy Klempa on the head pin. And he drops 8. It was a great ball on paper. 6 and the 10 are on the deck. Oops. My bad. 6 and 10 are on the deck for Andy Klempa. Two pins for a spare leave. Piece of wood next to the 6-pin. And he'll take it for a spare. That was needed. Second mark of the game. He's at 89 and 10. He can get to 99 if he can get a 10 fill on this spare. And we are in sync, confirmed. And he's just going to clear up quick piece of debris in the gutter. Again, this is Andy Klempa's record. C North Division 2. That's the same class and division he was in last year. Season record of 5 and 23. So he's really trying to hope he can bounce back, but so far he's only got 4 points. 2 points thus far. We won't assess this game just yet. Andy Klempa, oh my goodness. That's going to be a 4 fill. He remarks his fills aren't great, and I have the stats to prove it. So Andy Klempa's at 93 after 10. I'll show you the full screen. 93 after 10 for Andy Klempa. And again, that fill total and average. He's taken in 52 in fills, but he's only averaged 4.7 per mark. And that's kind of where he's kind of hurting here, I got to say. Because those do add up. Those definitely add up. Anyways, that's Demetri Dellas down there to the right of the head pin. Suddenly not as on target as he was in the beginning half of this match. The 1, 2, 4, 6, 10 are on the deck. And Demetri sails through the void, and the void stares back. So he's looking at a 5-box or greater. Hopefully he doesn't whiff this. Oh, and he'll punch the head pin out for a 6-box. 57 and 6 for Demetri Dellas. Yeah, both bowlers are really struggling this game. A fair amount. So Demetri Dellas is currently 20 for 36 on the head pin. That head pin percentage has been dropping substantially for Demetri this half of the match, and he will again miss that a little bit, miss the head pin a little bit for right side half Worcester, 2 pins out, 3 in the 9. And Demetri will punch a little bit too hard in the headpin this time. Now he's left with a weird array of pins, a 7, 10, 4, 5, 6. Kind of a Greek church, kind of not. And my goodness. So Demetri will rush that for a 5 box, 62 and 7. I think both bowlers really honestly just need to slow things down a little bit. That's what I've been noticing. They're just really go, go, go on these first balls and second balls and all that, but Boutwells doesn't always favor that kind of a ball. That's a headband drop and a left side diamond 6 drop for Demetri Dellas, 4, 5, 2, 8. And the diamond wins again. He takes out the 2 and the 4, leaving the 5 and the 8. Demetri Dellas, that is. Dellas for the 10 box. He'll take a 10. He'll take out the last 2, pinning it out, 72 and 8. He will take the 4th game as he is... No, I'm sorry. What am I saying? No, he won't take the 4th game just yet. He's currently ahead of Andy Klempa at the equivalent part of the 4th game here. He's on pace to take the 4th game. And that's a headpin shot and a 9 drop, leaving the 10 pin. Demetri Dellas. It's a shot on the 10 pin for a single pin spare opportunity. There's wood to the left, and that doesn't really apply. Demetri Dellas will get the single pin spare for 82 and a ball in 9. And it's starting to become a little bit more clear. It will appear that Demetri Dellas will take the 4th game at this point, at this rate, unless barring no disasters here. Dellas on a big fill here to take the 4th game, and he's on the head pin, and is it going to be a strike? Pins are still wiggling, and oh my goodness, I thought at least one of these were going to go. It's going to be an 8 drop. What could have been a strike ended up being an 8 drop. Look at that, the 5 and the 9 on the deck. And he'll spare it up, though. That will be the 4th game for Demetri Dellas now. He's at 110. 110 for Demetri Dellas. And still counting. 100 and. Could be a potential for a 110 game. We'll see what happens. He's on the headpin, and he'll drop 5. So he'll fill with 5. He'll get halfway to 110. 105 is where Demetri Dellas is confirmed to finish the 4th game for a 4-game total of 440. Andy Klempa, a 4-game total of 409. So the total is only within 31 pins of our bowlers. Demetri Dellas takes the 4th game by 12. Currently, Demetri Dellas has 6 points to Andy Klempa's 2. And going to be moving on to the 5th and final game, a 6-point game. And Andy Klempa will lead off, our away bowler at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. I'm Steve Kelly on the call for this Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour Class C North match, and it's great to have you along. And Andy Klempa is to the left of the head pin, and he's got the 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10 on the deck. Klempa needs to be on the 1, 3 pocket to do something with this, and he misses it. 1, 3, 10 are left on the deck for 7, 8, 9, or 10 box opportunity. Klempa looking to clean up, and he will for a 10 box. That's 10 after 1 for Andy Klempa. Klempa has 11 spares and 0 strikes for the day. Demetri Dellas has 3 strikes and 9 spares. Andy Klempa has 21 for 41 headpin shots, and 9 of those 21 headpin shots have been splits. He's been totaling 52 in total fills, averaging 4.7 per mark. It adds Andy Klempa on a headpin and a split. 3-pin spread eagle. Slightly less common than the traditional 4-pin spread eagle. The 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 are on the deck with a piece of wood kind of spread out between the gap. And Andy Klempa will almost convert the spread eagle for a spare, leave the 3 on the deck and only the 3. Would have been a pretty shot if it went. That wood in the center definitely helps with that, but didn't quite go. It's on the 3-pin. He misses it for a 9. 19 after 2 for Andy Klempa. Folks, I appreciate you watching this Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour Class C match today. If you like this content and want to see more, I invite you to subscribe to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page on Facebook, as well as Candlepin Bowling Network on YouTube. That's where most of these ACST matches also get uploaded to, so wherever your preference, feel free to subscribe and check it out. And that is an 8 drop for Andy Klempa. It's a sleeper shot. The 3 and the 9 are on the deck. It's hard to see that 9 pin, I know. Andy Klempa will play the 3, and it will bounce around, but it won't take the 9. So no spare for Andy Klempa. Klempa has 2 headpin shots this game so far. And he'll take a 10 box. Doing well on the pinning. 29 after 3 for Andy Klempa thus far. Averaging 4.7 fills per mark. 53% headpin percentage for Andy Klempa. And Andy, wow, that was a wild miss on the first ball. He tends to throw this ball rather hard, and I know I've said this multiple times, but he has to maybe try to maybe control that ball just a little more. That's my kind of unofficial backseat analysis on that. If you're watching this later, Andy, and want some advice. Anyways, that's a 9 drop on the second ball. It was nearly a full, complete sweep rack ripper, but he'll take 9 on the second ball. Now he's shooting for a 10 box. And it's a bouncy ball, but it works out for a 10. His third 10 of the game. That's 39 and 4 for Andy Klempa. So, folks, yes, also, so to complete that thought, check out Candlepin Bowling Network on YouTube. There's also Instagram if you are into more short-form content or more fun little clips of things. We're also working on posting more kind of shorts content to Candlepin Bowling Network as well. If you just want to relive some awesome or humorous or memorable moments, we're trying to fish those out of videos the best we can also to try to get that going. So do check that out on Candlepin Bowling Network in particular. And also, don't sleep on TikTok for the @Candlepin Bowling account on TikTok. That's awesome content, particularly in regards to Millis and Ryan Family Amusements for Outrun the Bear and all kinds of other fun memes and stuff. Check out @Candlepin Bowling on TikTok. Don't sleep on it. Andy Klempa having some trouble on this second ball for the spare shot. He had a headpin shot in a split, but he'll take an 8 box for 47 after 5. Andy Klempa has been very consistent on these halves so far. He's been in the 40s every single game. Like 2 45s, a 43, a 40-something, and a 47, effectively, for these 5 games. That's been the story for Andy Klempa for the first half. He usually kind of gets things going in the second half a little bit better. Anyways, that's Demetri Dellas down there on lane 5, and he's just off the headpin, dropping 7. The 1, the 2, and the 10 are on the deck. Demetri Dellas. A little light hit on the headpin, no spare. 2 pin safe, 10 pin safe. Dellas for the 10 box, and he'll get it. That was a nice shot. The 2 and the 10 actually go. 10 after 1 for Demetri Dellas. Also, there's more than just Candlepin Bowling Network and Candlepin Corner. Also, check out Alley Chat, Candlepin Chat. Alley Chat is on YouTube and on alleychat.net. There's also Wolfman12395 and the Candlepin Bowling channel on YouTube. Those channels focus on classic Candlepin Bowling shows and uploads of old tapes and stuff. Always a fun time. I know I always grew up with those, so I always like to watch those. It's kind of nostalgic. That's a 7 drop for Demetri Dellas, the 1, the 2, and the 10, and he'll spare that up. 20 and a ball after 2 for Demetri Dellas. And we'll talk more about the socials here in just a little bit. Just want to make sure we catch the fill for Demetri Dellas, who's currently at 20 after 2 here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Demetri Dellas on the fill. He'll fill with 6 on the headpin with a split and a headpin shot. That is the 3, 6, 10, 7. No wood to help him. Demetri Dellas, and he hits the wrong side of the pocket. He'll take 2 out and leave 2. 7-10 split for a 10 box. 8 box minimum for Demetri Dellas. And he'll fire. And he's on the 7 pin. He'll leave the 10 pin for a 9 box. He's just throwing that last ball to clear a piece of wood. Anyways, so there's also some podcasts for Candlepin Bowling if you're interested. There's Ripping the Rack and The Approach. And there's Tony Levesque on YouTube and Charlie Collins on TikTok as well. They do their own independent bowling content. They'll stream stuff. They'll post stuff. Check them out. Don't sleep on any of these socials if you're into Candlepin Bowling for sure. That's a bit of a misfire for Demetri Dellas to the left of the headpin. He's got the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 10 to shoot at. Just a pile of pins, really. And he's on the 1-3 pocket. It was the right hit, but he left the 2 on the deck. The mix just didn't come around and get it. Dellas 9 or 10 box for the 4th frame, and it'll be a 10 box that will put him at 45 after 4. Demetri Dellas is currently 24 for 44 on the head pin. He was in the 60s for the percentage. Now he's fallen down to 55, and he's actually starting to almost even out with Andy Klempa, who's kind of picked up the pace on the head pin shots in particular. Bowlers who hit the head pin on the first ball tend to have higher scores, or trend higher on scores. So it's a stat to definitely keep an eye on and think about. That's a head pin shot and a split for Andy Klempa. Demetri Dellas, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. He's a misfire, taking out the 7 and leaving everything else. Demetri Dellas looking at a 5 box or higher, hoping he gets something more than that. And he shoots. The left side of the deck is taken out. He leaves the 6 and the 10 for an 8 box. And that will be the half for Demetri Dellas. Bit of a struggle. He's at 53 after 5. Still over Andy Klempa's 47 after 5. 4.5 game total of 495 for Demetri Dellas and a 4.5 game total of 456 for Andy Klempa. Comes down to these last 5 boxes, and it's a 6-point spread. Andy Klempa is in a must-win situation to really salvage things. At the moment, Andy Klempa has 2 points. If he can take 6, he'll get to 8, and they'll have a more even spread, but that's a 7 drop for Andy Klempa. Not on the head pin, but he leaves the 1, 3, and 10 on the deck. Shooting at the 1, 3, and 10 now. He'll connect with the 3 and the 10, leaving the 1. Now Andy Klempa just has to pin it out for a 10 box. 9 or 10 box possibility here, Andy Klempa on lane 6 at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. That's a 10 box for Andy Klempa, 57 and 6. So, folks, since we are in the final half of the final game, we'll say a couple thanks, such as our ACST League Commissioner Danny Finn, our Class C Treasurer Anthony Karen, and our ACST Stats and Numbers crunched by Micah Imperato, and the staff at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire, as well as viewers like you for watching. I always appreciate you guys watching and providing input, feedback, just coming back to watch games, or if you're new, I just appreciate you clicking onto this video and checking it out. I invite you to strike, comment, and subscribe to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour on Facebook, as well as YouTube, Candlepin Bowling Network on YouTube. That's a spare for Andy Klempa, by the way, 67 and a ball. That is confirmed in the 7th. So, yes, the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page on Facebook. On YouTube, we got Candlepin Bowling Network and Candlepin Corner, and all the other socials. If you're on TikTok, we got @Candlepin Bowling. We also got Charlie Collins on TikTok. All kinds of others. I'll show you the slides later on. Anyways, that's a 6 fill for Andy Klempa, not on the head pin. 1, 3, 6, and 8 are on the deck for a spare shot. Klempa's just a little bit off to the left. He gets by. So he's shooting for a 6 box or greater. Klempa, he fires, and he's just a little off the head pin, but he'll take a 9 box. That will put him at 82 and 8. Klempa 25 for 48 on head pins today. 12 of those head pin shots have been splits. He's totaled 58 in mark fills, averaging 4.8 per mark. Still hasn't found a strike just yet. Klempa is just off to the left of the head pin and punches out an awkward array of pins in the front row. Specifically, it's the 1, 5, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 left on the deck. Andy Klempa shooting for a spare, and he's on the 1, 3 pocket, and it goes. He runs them all down for a spare. That was a great shot to watch. Andy Klempa, 92 and a ball in 9. I don't know if you heard that, but Andy Klempa was remarking that when he throws a bouncy ball, he tends to get strikes. Although today, I'd argue that that has not been the case, and that's actually kind of caused the ball to kind of go in wild directions. But hey, different house, different physics. Andy Klempa, oh my goodness, and that fill. Half Worcester right side. So Andy Klempa will conclude today with a perfect 50% head pin shot percentage, 25 for 50. Right side half Worcester, 2-drop fill, 2-pin fill, and God, my goodness, he'll punch a couple out more in the middle for a 5-box minimum and 10-box maximum. If he can get a 6-box, he'll get 100. Let's see what happens. Watch with me for Andy Klempa's final ball on the final string here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Klempa fires, and he'll take 3 more out. That's over 100. That's an 8-box, 102 for a 5-game total of 511 for Andy Klempa. 103, 95, 118, 93, and 102. Those are the final scores by my count. Andy Klempa. So the stage is set. Demetri Dellas has to make up 18 points in the total and 49 points in the game. Or those plus 1 all around specifically, but Dellas fires. He's off to the right of the head pin. The 1, the 2, the 6, and the 10 are on the deck. Demetri Dellas shooting for a spare on the 1-2 pocket if he can get it, but it'll hit the 1 a little bit too full, leaving the 2, the 6, and the 10. And he'll fire on the 10, and he'll leave 2 on the deck for an 8-box. 61 after 6 for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas. And he's on the head pin, but not much to show for it. That's a split for, it's the spread eagle minus the 3, so he's got the 2, 4, 6, 7, 10. Demetri is on the left half, but he leaves the 6 and the 10 unharmed. So he's shooting for a 10-box now. Demetri will fire on the 6 and the 10, and he'll get a 10-box. 71 after 7 for Demetri Dellas. Demetri is currently at 26 for 47 headpin shots today with a 55% headpin completion percentage quarterback rating. 9 of those headpin shots have been splits. And that's another headpin shot for Demetri Dellas. Adding to that statistic, he drops 7. The 9, 10, 6 are on the deck. Right side back corner triangle is what he's shooting at. Dellas fires, and he just crosses over just a little bit too much. Or the ball just tails a little bit too much into the 10 pin, leaving the 6 and 9. Fires for the 10-box, and he'll take 1 out, leaving the 6 for a 9-box. That puts him at 80 and 8. That is confirmed. So I appreciate you watching this match. If you're wondering what I'm up to, tomorrow I'll be streaming Sherelle Nealand and Brian Hebert at Lakeside Lanes in the afternoon. About 2 p.m. we'll be kicking off at Lakeside Lanes for some Sunday afternoon bowling. Also check out the Friday Night Pro League that Paul Grant and Duncan McDougall called last night at Ryan Family Amusements in Millis, Massachusetts. That should be showing up on Candlepin Bowling Network, if I'm not mistaken. And Demetri Dellas is having some trouble getting things started in this box. He'll take a 9 for 89 and 9. That is confirmed. And we also, in addition to the ACST, we also have New England Knockout coming up here. We have a full, I think we have 64 teams, if I am remembering that correctly. Jordan Britton is leading that charge and getting that all organized, and matches should be scheduled, and those will be streamed coming up as well whenever bowlers are able. So check that out. I'm also bowling in that with Paul Mativier. We'll be scheduling our first match, I think, in the coming weeks here. In case you're wondering for up and coming happenings, that's a 9-box for Demetri Dellas, finishing at 98. He'll fall to Andy Klempa's 102 in the 5th. So let's figure things out here. So Demetri Dellas with that 98, he won't take the 5th game. Andy Klempa will walk away with 4 points before we factor in the total. 5-game total of 511 for Andy Klempa, and a 5-game total of 538 for Demetri Dellas. So you know what that means. That means that Demetri Dellas is going to take the additional bonus points for the total. So here's the final spread here. Andy Klempa will take 4 points to Demetri Dellas' 10, with that total sway going to Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas finishing again with a 538 total, and Andy Klempa finishing with a 511 total. And in terms of superlatives and miscellaneous stats, perfect box percentage goes to Demetri Dellas today with a 46%. Andy Klempa had a 44%, not too far behind. Both bowlers punching above their weight in terms of averages for the most part. Andy Klempa at 102 and Demetri Dellas at 108. Head pin shots have been great. Both bowlers at 50% or greater. Andy Klempa making it to 50% and Demetri Dellas at 54% by the time all is said and done. So at the end of it all, I believe Andy Klempa should move to 9-33, and then Demetri Dellas will rise to 32-10, and that should just about do it for all the stats and all the results here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. That'll be it for us today from Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was a pleasant experience for you. If you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more, I invite you to strike, comment, and subscribe to our multiverse of social media and media consumption conglomerates all over the internet. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we're all over it. Candlepin Bowling Network, Candlepin Corner, Candlepin Bowling on TikTok, the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, and also last but not least, check out candlepinsforcancer.com to sign up for qualifying roll-offs or to donate if you prefer to skip the bowling or donate to a great cause for bowlers in need of cancer treatments and financial assistance. That's always greatly appreciated. And also, I'll be really quick about this. I am also bowling on one of the 2024 World Invitational Candlepin Championship teams known as the Massholes. If you care to buy a raffle ticket for a huge pot and drawing on Monday, November 4th, 2024, I'd appreciate it. If you want to get tickets through me, you can Venmo me at Skelly Skelly. Proceeds also assist in supporting the teams throughout the week. It's a lot of bowling. We're bowling effectively 9 to 5 for 5 straight days, if I'm not mistaken. And if you want to get a raffle ticket from me, just include it in a message to me in some way, just your info, so I can physically write it on the raffle ticket and just submit it. That's the only reason I need the information. I don't want to know otherwise, but otherwise, thank you very much if you consider that. And also, if you want to consider Candlepin Bowling and are in the area and don't know where to start, go to candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. I would highly recommend checking it out and supporting your local bowling centers, such as Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Anyways, for everyone here at Boutwells Bowling Center and for Demetri Dellas and Andy Klempa, I wish you a great day or weekend or whatever it is, and we'll see you at the next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Have a great one, everybody.